So, welcome. It's a particular pleasure to have this interview with my good friend Heiko Enderling from the MD Anderson Cancer Center. Heiko, why don't you introduce yourself just quickly?
Well, Thomas, thanks so much for having me. It's nice to talk to you about math biology. And so I'm Heiko Enderling. I'm a professor in the Department of Radiation Oncology at the University of Texas, MD Anderson Cancer Center. Um, by training, I'm a computer scientist. Went from computer science to mathematical biology
Yeah.
and have been working in a cancer hospital ever since.
Yeah, let's talk about the beginning. So I know you like forever, I think end of 90s. And I think at that time you were a PhD student with Sandy Anderson in Dundee, is this right?
That is right. So I started out as a PhD student in mathematical biology with Mark Chaplin and Sandy Anderson,
Yeah.
the University of Dundee in Scotland. And
And was this the first time you got encountered to cancer modeling, or did you look at this before even?
it was my first contact with modeling.
With modeling, okay,
But
yeah.
as an undergrad, I was working in the private company of my human medicine professor. And he looked at proteomics. And
Oh,
so we
yeah.
had some in contact with cancer biology there, but it's not the kind of modeling you and I are doing today.
No, but it certainly sparked your interest, I would think, right?
It sparked enough of my interest to move from Germany to Scotland because my professor in Germany was part of a grant funding network in which the group in Scotland also participated in.
Ah, okay. Yeah, very good opportunity, yeah.
Indeed.
So then you finished your PhD in Dundee, and then what?
Then I moved to the US.
Yeah.
I moved to the US in 2007 to Tufts University in Boston, the Center of Cancer Systems Biology, that was run by a group of radiobiologists. And as you may remember from many, many years ago, my PhD thesis was in radiation therapy modeling,
Of course.
radiation therapy for breast cancer. So to go into radiobiology lab to learn more about the actual biology behind radiation responses was very attractive to me.
Yeah, I'm sure this is very valuable for everything came after. Yeah.
Right. So I stayed there for 2 or 3 years as a postdoc. Was very fortunate to be promoted to an instructor position and ultimately my first assistant professor position.
So there was still at Tufts.
This was still at Tufts.
Yeah, okay. And then you made the transition to Moffitt, right?
That's right. So I moved to Moffitt in 2013 to join Sandy Anderson again in his new department of integrated mathematical oncology that he and Bob Gatenby have built to create really an environment within a cancer hospital where we can really learn what are the biological questions, what are the clinical questions, what are the data that people are using to inform their decisions, and build models that are really purposefully built for specific questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this establishment of the Moffitt Cancer Center was really a milestone for our area, right? I mean, we
Absolutely.
have been doing cancer modeling quite a bit, but not so close to the clinicians, right? So are you working directly with clinicians, or actually stay at Moffitt? Did you
Okay.
work in Moffitt with clinicians?
Yeah, so my biggest motivation to move to Moffitt was, of course, the opportunity to work with clinicians.
Yeah.
On day one, during my recruitment visit, I had the opportunity to interview with faculty in medical physics and in radiation oncology. And very quickly became clear that when I come to Moffitt, I get a secondary appointment in the clinic, that I can attend the faculty meetings of clinicians and really be there when they discuss what problems they have. No, but it really was eye-opening, right? Being in a math department for many years, I tried to calculate the optimal radiation dose. And then this, of course, was the question our clinicians never had. I said, we don't want to change any dose. We have so many dose protocols we can give.
Yeah.
And we don't even have a biomarker to decide which of the protocols we are having is the best for an individual patient.
Right.
They were not interested in adding yet another tool that they have no idea how to use it. And early on they said, if you can build a model that can teach us what treatment that is considered standard of care
Right.
is the best for the next patient, that is what we need. So then we spent 3 or 4 years building that very model. only using data that they routinely collect so that it can readily translate into the clinic. And we were incredibly fortunate
Yeah.
to have such a supportive environment that once we built a predictive model that predicted that for some patients, one treatment is better than the other. That the clinician then said, that is a testable hypothesis.
Right.
Let's
okay.
run a clinical trial where when the patient comes in, you look at the data, you tell us what to do, and we do it. And this is how we run our first prospective clinical trial
Okay.
on mathematics-guided radiation fractionation personalization.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. So this trial is currently running?
We finished in 2012. We finished early because the interim analysis showed a remarkable success.
Aha.
It was powered to show a 10% improvement in the response rate. And after the first roughly 50 patients, we had achieved a 12% improvement in response already. So these data were presented at the European Congress last year,
Yes.
and the paper is currently under consideration.
Wonderful. Oh, this
So
is
I'm
a
very
great
excited
success.
about
Yeah.
that.
This is really amazing. Now, at Moffitt, you also worked a lot with students and postdocs and high school students. So you want to talk a little bit about this? What activities
Sure.
did you initiate?
Absolutely. So Sandy was very generous to allow me to help building some of our education portfolio in the IMO. And many of us had for the long time the vision to have a PhD program. But Moffitt, of course, is not a degree-awarding institute. So we were able to partner with the cancer biology program at the University of South Florida to create a PhD program in integrated mathematical oncology. And I believe we enrolled the first students 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this summer, the first 4 students graduated.
Nice.
So the Moffitt program now has 4 alumni and many more students that are actively in the program right now.
Yes.
In addition to this, as I said, we have a high school, or I was able to create a high school program that is now run by Renee Brady-Nichols, who I believe may show up in this channel at some point before me.
That's right. Yeah. So I just interviewed Renee. Yeah.
Great. And so this program we have realized that it's incredibly difficult to recruit PhD students into mathematical biology because during the college career, students choose either to do mathematics or biology. These double major students are few and far in between.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
decided to go to high school students and get high school students excited about interdisciplinary research, how to bring mathematics and biology together, with the hope that some of them choose a double major in college.
Yeah.
And then come back to our different PhD programs and postdoctoral training to help us in our fight to end cancer.
Yeah. Wonderful. And then very recently came the big transition to MD Anderson.
That's right.
So how did this come about? Did they like one Saturday afternoon call you? Dr. Enderling, why don't you come over?
Yeah, no, these are of course discussions that evolve over time.
Right, okay.
They start over dinner at a conference, and these are things we are trying to build. Is this something you would like to be interested being part of? And last summer I talked a lot with some of the clinicians at MD Anderson, some of the leadership at MD Anderson, and the idea at this time, the MD Anderson Cancer Center was interested in creating a new institute, an institute for data sciences and oncology. And one of their focus areas was computational modeling for precision medicine. And apparently some of the work I was able to do while I was in Dundee, in Tufts, or Moffitt.
I mean, it sounds like you're a perfect fit for this. So
they must have thought so as well. So I was very fortunate to have these discussions. In the end, we said, you know what, that seems to be like a really good idea.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can't be hired into the institute. You also need an academic department. And I said, if I make the transition, I want to be fully in the clinic. So I was able to negotiate a position in the Department of Radiation Oncology.
Radiation oncology. Oh, very
Radiation
nice.
oncology.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
So it's again now sitting with all the clinicians almost daily and listening in and learning what is actually the clinical workflow.
Yeah.
What are questions and problems that are urgent?
Yeah.
And is there once so often a problem comes up where we say maybe we can do something?
It's a really great opportunity. It's fantastic.
It is. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So now, as in Moffitt, you work a lot with students. Is this your plan as well for MD Anderson?
Yes. like yourself, you're incredibly interested in training the next generation of scientists. MD Anderson does have a PhD program. They do have undergraduate programs. They have high school student programs.
Mm-hmm.
So on day one, I put my name down as a faculty member that is willing to host students. So
Yeah.
I hope that at some point students self-select into what we have to offer. Of course, I'm not the only faculty member there.
Uh-huh.
As you may have heard before, that MD Anderson is a rather big place. So there's multiple students interested, faculty member working with students.
As well, yeah.
So it's probably going to take a couple of years until my name rises to the top of the list of interest for students.
Sure, but this will come. Yeah, absolutely.
This will come,
yeah,
absolutely.
This will definitely come. Another thing which I'm thinking about a lot is the availability of data in medical sciences. So I think the structure of data which we can get access to has totally changed over the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. So how do you deal with this? Do you see this as an opportunity
And a challenge.
and a challenge?
No, it's again, for many years when I was sitting in a math department, I built mathematical models and then I tried to get data.
Yeah,
Nowadays, I'm very fortunate to come from the other way and say, what data do we have? What is the clinical problem? What's
Yes.
the biological problem? What data are available that lead to people asking the questions they are asking? And then we are trying to build models that are with the very purpose in mind to use these data. So being directly at the source where the data are generated, where the data are housed, and having the in-house collaborators, it is becoming much easier
yeah.
to access data, to work with data, to understand data.
And then with simple models, right? This is something which I really like at your work, that often you just get away with a simple model, because that's what the data give you, and that's what you use.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Is
in
it-
fact, right at this conference here, we coined the term Heiko's razor.
Yep.
So, which is a nice term for this. Yeah.
It should be a machete, really.
Okay.
A lot of models need something bigger than a razor.
Probably, yeah, right.
But no, as I told you, I'm very interested in radiation oncology, and the few things we routinely measure is tumor volume on an image, and we measure that luckily every week,
Yeah,
right? So if you have tumor volume over time, then that's probably what your equation is going to be: change in tumor volume over time.
right.
And you either have growth or decline, so your model is already fairly constrained. We know that radiation response is dependent on ever so many biological factors, and we can write down, and we have done that, writing down systems of 17, 18 differential equations of variables we can't measure,
Yeah.
of parameters we can't identify. So given that our purpose is to inform clinical decision, we threw everything away we don't measure and only focus on what we measure, and then you end up with incredibly simple mathematical models.
Yeah, I think it's a great strategy. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
But despite its simplicity, but maybe even because of its simplicity, these models are clinically actionable.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. Very good.
But Heiko's razor, tongue-in-cheek, of course, it's again, each model has a different purpose. Right? And if you want to explore complex dynamics in a multi-dimensional variable space, then you build very complex multivariable models.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. Now, as a last question, I would like to come back to the young generation. So, would you have advice for people who like to enter this area? So, I know your career was a little bit left and right, but it was not super straight. This is probably okay.
Yeah.
But still, would you have like some general advice for young people who would like to enter this area?
Absolutely. Do what you're most interested in. I see that a lot, that students, even postdocs, apply because there is a position available without having any idea what this work entails, what kind of research we are doing, what questions we are asking. And quite often you end up in a setup in which you're not happy.
Right.
If you're not interested in the problem that the lab is trying to solve, you're stuck in a lab in a position that is maybe not the best for you. To really do your due diligence, read about what people are doing, read as many books as you can, talk to as many people,
Right.
and find out what you're interested in, and then try to find the lab that is right for you, the right mentor that is excited in mentoring you. And then everything else falls into place. But without that interest, if you're not coming to work every day, being excited while you get out of bed, it's probably going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah,
I mean, you and I, we are lucky that we still enjoy what we are doing.
absolutely. That's right. Yeah.
We get to meet at places like this, talk science, record videos. But we are doing what we enjoy to do. So that's probably my biggest advice.
Nice.
Don't go to the biggest name in the field. I have to go to that university. No, go to the science that excites you. As the immediate past president of the Society for Mathematical Biology,
Yeah.
maybe I should put in a plug for people to consider looking up what we are doing. Maybe it's a home for students, postdocs, professors to connect with like-minded individuals. I assume you're going to interview a few math biologists.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So if you're interested in math biology, there's multiple societies where mathematical biologists get together, where there's many mentoring programs for junior scientists, where there's career workshops for junior scientists, where there's plenty of opportunity to learn, to connect, to network, and have fun.
So then, thank you very much, Heiko, for your time.
Thank you.
This was a very interesting interview. I'm sure many people will love what you just said.
Thank you. Very good.
Very good.